Are you metal as fuck? Are you comic as fuck? Are you hungry as fuck? Well, you should head over to truecultcomic.com to get your satanic fix from the very fucking metal creative minds of Scott Brian Wilson and Liana Kangas. That's trvekvlt comic.com.
What's going on, people? Myke ctown here. So yes, I am back. But before we get into that, letting you guys know that this video is being sponsored by The Coldest Water, a company that makes these awesome water bottles that keep your water cold for up to 36 hours. They feature no sweat technology and they are odor proof. So if you'd like to enter a chance to win one of your very own, there's a link down there to jump into the giveaway. Or if you'd like to just buy one of your own straight out, there's also a promo code down there that you can use that will get you 10% off of your order. So get on that. So yeah, this is going to be a part 2 to the Q&A that I did a while back. But before we get into that, I feel like I'd be remiss to not make mention of a few things. For those of you that have been keeping up with me on my other socials, yes, my channel was hacked. No, it had absolutely nothing to do with that video I made about the mixtape thing. It ended up being some motherfucker in the Philippines, I believe, but as you can see, my channel is back. And no, I won't be putting that video back up. My goal in that whole thing was to get a positive resolution for everyone, but I see now that I was a bit naive in thinking that I could make that happen, which I'm very disappointed about. But that's all I'm gonna say about that. If you want drama, you're in the wrong place. Go follow some of those accounts on IG. There's plenty of it going on over there. So yeah, let's move into some fun shit. So Devin asked, what are your top 5 favorite crust punk albums of all time? Well, I'm no expert in crust punk, to be honest. I listen to it, but you know, I don't study it. A lot of people are serious sticklers for labels, you know, crust punk versus crusty hardcore versus D-beat. But I don't know, here are 5 albums that I would definitely put into that category. And I think it's safe to say that I've labeled them 5 to 1. His Hero's Gone, 15 Counts of Arson, Nausea's Extinction, Gizm's Detestation, ABC Diabolos, Give Rise to Doubts, which is one of the most underrated albums of that era, easily. And yeah, Catharsis Samsara, which is probably a controversial pick because I'm not sure many people would call this crust. It's definitely more of a crusty hardcore album, but I think there's enough crust there to qualify. Yeah, this is probably a question better suited for Pat from Ground Zero Salem. He'd probably go on for a whole week about this topic. But I'd definitely be interested in hearing you guys' picks, so drop them down there in the comment section. Crow says, huge fan of you and your work from Ghana. I would like to ask about the correlation between an album rating and its classic status. Like, is every 5-star rated or 10 out of 10 album a classic? For me personally, no, not every 5-star album is a classic. My thinking is a 5-star album doesn't have to be a classic, and a classic doesn't have to be a 5-star album. Of course, there's no definitive criteria for this type of thing, but in my opinion, not every 5-star album shapes the culture or the musical landscape around it, which is something that I think is necessary to being a classic album. You know, something might come out and critics may think it's a perfect album, but then it's not remembered as fondly in the future, or it just gets forgotten forever. Like, I think that Slayer's South of Heaven and Merciful Fate's In the Shadows are 5-star albums, but would I consider them classics? No, not really. Did they change the landscape of music at the time? Not really. A really great album doesn't always have to be labeled a classic. Elliot asks, favorite Star Wars movie and character? Favorite movie, Empire Strikes Back. Favorite character is debatable. Sometimes it's Vader because his aesthetic and his presence is just so intimidating. Sometimes it's Luke because of his place in the universe and his journey. But sometimes it's R2 because he shows that someone who could be looked at as totally insignificant can actually be integral to success. You know, we have to understand that the rebels would not have been successful, or at least not as easily successful without the assistance of R2. You can debate me on that shit, I dare you. Scott asks, will you ever come whack on an old school track? Bruh, let me tell you something, okay? I never come whack on an old school track, because this is how we do it. And matter of fact, last Friday night, I was feeling all right. The party was here on the west side of Atlanta, social distance, of course. And at one point, I reached for my 40 and I tipped it up. Then I gave the designated driver the keys to my truck. Why? I couldn't drive because I was faded. Then I went into the streets and the honey started yelling, C-Town, yo, we made it. Man, it felt so good in my hood that night. Moving on. Richard asks, can you please describe why God Hates Us All is such a classic album and in what ways it's great? I suppose this is the part of the show where we're transferred to Bizarro Land where everything is backwards. So yeah, sure. This is Slayer's best album. The riffs weren't boring or too chugga at all. They weren't dry in any way. And the songs weren't lifeless. It's truly a masterpiece. So there you go. Love you, Rich. Zach says, as a huge fan of his rapping, I'd be curious to know which of Kool Keith's aliases you enjoy listening to the most. Honestly, probably Black Elvis. I love Lost in Space, and that's probably the album that I listen to the most. Yeah, it's just great all around. Flying saucers, spaceships move at warp speed, MTV level 3 when I fly on BET. Living Astro, tell me how you feel. Shit's good. Ramiro asks, do you shop at Trader Joe's at all? And if so, what are some of your favorites there? All right, what kind of question is this? Why are you specifically asking if I shop at Trader Joe's? I have to be careful these days, to be honest, man. Folks out here stalking people, trying to get them caught up. I'm not trying to be murdered, man. You know what I mean? I might be in there buying some ginkgo pills or some shit, and a motherfucker jumps out from behind the organic cauliflower with a non-GMO fucking free-range machete trying to slit my throat or some shit. And Lord knows if that happened, I wouldn't be saved at Trader Joe's, because all the bleeding, like all those fucking recycled material paper towels, they wouldn't do shit, man. Like, first of all, them shits feel like construction paper and they don't soak up anything. So I feel like the best chance I'd have at living would be if someone busted open a pack of tofu and put that shit on the wound to soak up the blood. But nah, I drink this tea. It's bomb as fuck. It's so good. So yeah, if you shop at Trader Joe's, get some of this. If the lights are fucked up and you can't see it, I'll just insert an image there. There you go. Mark asks, do you collect movies like you collect music? Picture your collection if you do. It's funny, I don't really collect movies. I did for a while. I collected DVDs and VHS, but I just don't do it anymore. I think I have a modest DVD collection, but you know, for the most part, I only buy stuff that I know I'm gonna watch fairly regularly, or collector's items type of dealies, or things that are by some of my favorite directors. And I just got a Blu-ray player like a year ago, so I have a couple Blu-rays now. You know, I'm trying to move into the current century, I guess. Josh asks, who has the better discography, Eminem or Nas? First off, Josh is from Australia, and he sent a really nice note to say how far my content and Dead End's content reaches, and I think that that's really cool. So thank you, Josh. Or good day, mate. God, I bet you guys fucking hate that shit, don't you, man? Like, anytime anyone from Australia gets brought up to an American, it's one of those things where it's like one of three things. It's Crocodile Hunter, it's some that's not a knife, this is a knife, fucking Crocodile Dundee shit, or it's people asking like, hey, do you know Iggy Azalea? I met her once, by the way, Iggy Azalea. She smelled amazing, like if an angel farted. Anyway, damn, that's a really good question. When you say better, are you saying who has the more albums I listen to or the better quality albums? I don't know, because like M has 5 albums that I return to regularly. Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, The Eminem Show, Relapse, and Kamikaze. Whereas Nas really only has 4 albums that I return to regularly. Illmatic, It Was Written, Godson. Oh no, that's 5. The Lost Tapes, and Untitled. Sorry, my math is off today. So, God, I guess they're even then. So yeah, I guess then the discussion becomes, out of the albums, which ones do I like more? And that's tough. I'm not gonna lie, I probably listen to those M albums more than I listen to those Nas albums. So, I don't know what to tell you. You can hate me now. That's not even Nas, but... Marcus asks, are there any music genres that you completely avoid / refuse to listen to? No. Prior to the Out of My Element series, it would have been nu metal. But actually not really, because I like Deftones. I've always liked Deftones. And no matter what you guys say, Deftones is, or at least was, a nu metal band. Yeah, I guess pop country which is not really a genre. It's more of a subgenre, I guess. But yeah, there's nothing within pop country that I want anything at all to do with. Myke says, I have a huge friend group that always makes fun of me for not being into sports, or there are situations where I meet a girl and she loves sports. How do you fit in with these conversations? Do you pretend to know what they're talking about, or do you just walk away? Do you ever wish you enjoyed sports? I don't fit in with those conversations. I leave those conversations, or I just make things awkward until people talk about something else. Like I'll start throwing out random ass sports people that I know, like Larry Bird or Spuds McKenzie, or no, not Spuds McKenzie. Spuds McKenzie was the dog. Spud Webb, sorry. Or Refrigerator Perry. I think sports are stupid, personally. If someone else likes them, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. I just get nothing out of watching some dude with diaper butt throw a ball to see if some other dude with diaper butt can catch it. That just seems really fucking boring to me. I like watching skateboarding on X Games, if you consider that a sport. I also like watching UFC for some bizarre reason. Like, I absolutely hate violence, but I can watch two dudes beat the shit out of each other all day long. Like, it even gets to the point sometimes where I watch so much of it, I think I can go out in the street and like actually knock a dude out. Which, no, that's not the reality of any situation. I'd fuck around thinking I was like Anderson Silva doing that fucking monkey shit that he used to do and end up getting the shit kicked out of me. So, yeah. James asks, what's your favorite oatmeal? All right, James, I'm gonna let you in on some tight shit. All right, pay attention, because this is like some serious gourmet recipe type shit. All right, I take a packet of maple and brown sugar, and I take a packet of walnut raisin, and I mix them together in the same bowl, bro. It sounds crazy, but let me tell you something. It is delicious, all right? Super fancy on like some Chef Gordon Ramsay type shit, you know? Or that Bam guy. I don't know his name. You know the Bam. Bam! That guy. Maple and brown sugar. Bam! Walnut raisin. Bam! Bam! Little bit of vegan margarine. Bam! 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 You know what I'm talking about. Yes, that is my oatmeal routine. Try it. All right, an Angel asks, what's your job outside of Dead and Hip Hop? And how'd you become so dummy thick, boy? So that's going to do it for this quarantine Q&A. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll probably do a third one, maybe next month. There's a couple of questions left that I didn't answer, but if you'd like to send in some questions, send them to ctownwdywk at gmail.com. That's usually for what do you want to know questions, but what I've been doing is I'm taking the questions that are what do you want to know questions that are kind of shorter, and I'm going to add them to these Q&A videos. So do that, and yeah, that's it. As usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, peace out, boy.